stood at the viewing window and stared at the neutron star. The swirling purple and blue glow filled the entire window. He had never seen anything like it. Back on Earth, he only saw stars as tiny dots in the night sky. But here, at Axiom Prime Station, the neutron star looked close enough to touch. "Beautiful, isn't it?" a voice said behind him. Turned around. A tall creature with silver skin and 3 eyes stood next to him. The alien wore a flowing robe that changed colors as it moved. "Yes," replied, "very beautiful." "You must be from the new species. The human's correct." The alien's voice sounded like music, high and soft. "That's right, I'm an engineer from Earth." The alien made a gesture that might have been a bow. "Welcome to the Galactic Council. I am from the people. We were the first to discover faster-than-light travel many thousands of years ago." Smiled politely. He had read about in the briefing documents. They were proud of their history, very proud. "How do you find our station?" asked. "It's impressive, much bigger than our colony ships." "Of course. We have been building stations for 10,000 years. Your species is very young in the galaxy. You have much to learn." Nodded. He was used to this attitude. Every alien species they met seemed to think humans were like children. It was annoying, but he kept quiet. Earth needed friends out here in space. The meeting earlier that day had been boring. The council barely looked at the human delegation. Earth was just the 47th species to join, nothing special. The council members talked about trade routes and mining rights. They approved Earth's membership with a quick vote and moved on to other business. "I need to walk around," said, "clear my head before the next session." "Of course, the memorial hall is quite beautiful. Down that corridor, third door on the left," pointed with one long finger. Thanked the alien and walked down the corridor. The station was enormous. Hallways stretched in every direction. Aliens of every shape and size walked past him. Some had fur, some had scales, some looked like floating crystals. Felt very small and very human. He found the memorial hall easily. The door slid open with a soft sound. Inside, the room was quiet and dark. Soft lights glowed around the walls. In the center, a huge crystal sculpture reached toward the ceiling. Names were carved into the crystal. Thousands and thousands of names. "The Navigators," a small plaque read. "Those who gave their minds so civilization could reach the stars." Walked closer. He read some of the names. Strange alien names he couldn't pronounce. Next to each name was a number. He realized the numbers were ages. Most of the ages were young, 25, 32, 41. The oldest he saw was 57. "They all died young," whispered to himself. "They sacrificed everything," another voice said. Jumped. He hadn't heard anyone enter. A short alien with 4 arms stood near the door. The creature had thick gray skin and large black eyes. "I'm sorry," said. "I didn't mean to disturb anything." "You disturb nothing. This hall is for all species. I am Moore, head of the Navigators Guild." "Human engineer." Moore moved closer to the crystal. One of his 4 hands touched the surface gently. "Every name here is a navigator who died in service. The jumps through space destroy the mind slowly. Most can only serve for 20 or 30 years before the damage is too great." Frowned. "That's terrible, such a waste of life." "It is the price of civilization. Without navigators, there is no faster-than-light travel. Without FTL travel, there is no galactic society." But he stopped himself. "But what?" Moore's large eyes fixed on him. "Nothing, I was just thinking." "Speak freely, human. We are alone here." Took a breath. "On our ships, we don't use biological navigators. Our computers do the navigation. No one has to die." Moore stared at him for a long moment. Then the alien made a strange sound. It took a second to realize Moore was laughing. "Oh, young species, you have much to learn. Artificial systems cannot process quantum-fold mathematics. It is impossible. This has been proven for 10,000 years. But our ships do it, said. No, no, no. Moore shook his head. You must have biological components you don't understand, perhaps hidden organic processors, or maybe you use a different method that only works for short distances. We've been using AI navigation for 30 years. We've jumped across dozens of star systems. No biological components at all. Moore's expression changed. The amusement faded. That is not possible. I'm telling you what our ships do. Then you are mistaken about your own technology, or lying. Which is it? Felt his face grow hot with anger. I'm not lying. I helped build the navigation systems myself. I know how they work. Then you are confused. Perhaps the translation is wrong. Perhaps you use different words for the same things. The translation is fine. We use quantum computers to calculate jump coordinates. No biological navigator, no living being suffers to move our ships. Moore stepped back. All four of his arms crossed over his chest. You should not say such things in public, human. The Navigators Guild is very powerful. We do not appreciate jokes about our sacred duty. It's not a joke, it's the truth. Your truth is impossible. The proved long ago that only biological neural networks can process the mathematics. Every species since has confirmed this. 10,000 years of science cannot be wrong. Opened his mouth to argue, but Moore held up a hand. I suggest you speak with your superiors. Ask them to explain your technology correctly, before you embarrass yourself and your species further. The four-armed alien turned and walked out of the memorial hall. The door slid shut behind him with a solid sound. Stood alone among the names of dead navigators. His hands shook slightly. He looked up at the crystal sculpture, at all those young deaths. They all died for nothing, he whispered. If we can do it with computers, then all these deaths were unnecessary. The thought made him feel cold inside. 10,000 years, millions of navigators, all suffering and dying because the galaxy believed something that wasn't true. Pulled out his communication device. He needed to talk to Dr. Earth's chief scientist. She was the person he knew. She would know what to do. As he walked back through the corridors of Axiom Prime Station, felt the weight of what he had discovered. The galaxy had built everything on one fundamental belief, and that belief might be completely wrong. He thought about Moore's words, 10,000 years of science cannot be wrong. But what if it could be? What if it was? The question followed him all the way back to the human delegation quarters. Behind him, in the memorial hall, the names of the dead navigators glowed softly in the dark. The emergency council session started at dawn, station time. The huge chamber was packed with aliens from every corner of the galaxy, sat in the back with the other humans. His hands were sweating. This is bad, Park Minyu whispered next to him. Minyu was one of Earth's diplomats. Very bad. I just told them the truth, whispered back. The truth is making everyone angry. At the center of the chamber, Moore stood on a raised platform. All four of his arms gestured wildly as he spoke. His voice boomed through the translation systems. This human claims that artificial systems can perform quantum-fold calculations. This is not just wrong. It is dangerous. It is a lie that threatens the foundation of our civilization. The chamber erupted with noise. Aliens shouted and clicked and buzzed in 100 different languages. The translation system couldn't keep up. A council member stood. The room went quiet. They always got respect. They were the oldest spacefaring race. The theorem is absolute, the council member said. We proved ago that biological neural networks are required for FTL navigation. This is not opinion. This is mathematical fact. More shouting, more angry gestures. Felt sick to his stomach. This was spinning out of control. He had just mentioned what their ships did. He didn't expect this reaction. Perhaps the human is mentally ill, suggested a creature that looked like a walking plant. New species sometimes experience psychological problems in space. The stress of meeting other species can cause delusions. Or perhaps, Moore said darkly, they are deliberately spreading lies to undermine the Navigators Guild, to cause chaos. We should exile them, another voice called out. Send them back to their little planet. The chamber exploded in debate. Some aliens agreed with exile. Others suggested imprisonment. A few called for re-education, which sounded even worse. Then a calm voice cut through the noise. Perhaps we should simply ask them to explain. Everyone turned. Doctor stood at the human section. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She looked completely unafraid. I am Doctor, Chief Scientist of the Earth Delegation. My colleague told you the truth. Our ships use artificial intelligence for navigation. If the Council permits, I can demonstrate this. Moore's large eyes narrowed. You cannot demonstrate the impossible. Then you have nothing to fear from a demonstration. The chamber went silent. The challenge hung in the air. The head of the council, an ancient creature called spoke for the first time. His voice was dry and old like rustling paper. Very well, show us your impossible technology. When you fail, Earth will apologize to the Navigators Guild and withdraw these claims. Agreed. Bode, agreed. I will need access to our ship's navigation logs and computer systems. Granted, this session is adjourned until tomorrow. We will reconvene to witness this demonstration. The aliens filed out of the chamber. Many of them glared at the human delegation. Heard muttered insults in languages the translator couldn't handle. The tone was clear enough. Outside the chamber, Minu grabbed his arm. Doctor, are you sure about this? If we're wrong, Earth will be humiliated. Smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of someone who knew something others didn't. We are not wrong, come, we have work to do. That night helped prepare the presentation. They worked in the human quarters, pulling data from the systems. There was Earth's colony ship. It had brought the first human delegation to Council space. Here, said, pointing at the screen, every jump we made in the past 5 years. The timestamps, the coordinates, the energy signatures, all calculated by our quantum computers. Will they believe it? Asked. Belief is irrelevant. This is data, mathematics. They can verify every number. But Moore said that proved it was impossible. Leaned back in her chair. She looked tired. Do you know what the problem with old civilizations is? What? They stop questioning. They accept what their ancestors told them. They build everything on foundations they never check. She tapped the screen. Humans are young. We had to figure out FTL ourselves. We had no ancient theorems to follow, so we approached the problem fresh. And we found a different answer. Exactly. Sometimes the new students see what the old teachers missed. The next day, the council chamber was even more crowded. Word had spread. Everyone wanted to see the humans fail. Stood at the center platform. She looked small and fragile, surrounded by enormous aliens, but her voice was steady and clear. Thank you for this opportunity. I will present our navigation data now. She activated the holographic display. Numbers and equations filled the air. The humans had translated everything into the galactic standard notation. These are the calculations our AI performed for a jump from Sol system to Alpha. As you can see, the quantum-fold mathematics are processed entirely by artificial neural networks. A scientist stood. This proves nothing. You could have hidden biological components. You may examine our ship, said simply. Every system, every circuit, you will find no biological components. She's bluffing, Moore declared. No one would allow full access to their ship systems. I am not bluffing. Bring your scientists, bring your engineers, scan everything. We have nothing to hide. The council head made a decision. Very well. A team of council scientists will inspect the human vessel. If they find any evidence of biological navigation systems, Earth will be expelled and fined for wasting our time. If they find no biological systems, we will discuss the implications. 3 days later, stood on the bridge of the With and Captain. The ship was swarming with alien scientists. They had brought scanning equipment, analysis tools, and very skeptical attitudes. A mathematician named approached them. He was old, even by standards. His silver skin was dull with age. "I have examined your quantum computer," said slowly. "It is remarkable, but I do not understand. The mathematics should not work without biological processing." "May I show you?" asked. She led to the navigation station. On the screens, the AI was running practice calculations, watched for a long time. His 3 eyes moved independently, tracking different parts of the equations. "This is not possible," he whispered, "but I am watching it happen." "It is possible," said gently, "because the underlying assumption is wrong." "The theorem cannot be wrong. My ancestors proved." "I have read the theorem, all 67 pages. It is brilliant work, but there is an error in equation 47. Turned to stare at her, all 3 eyes focused on her face. "Impossible. That equation has been for thousands of years." "Has it, or has everyone just assumed it was correct?" Pulled up the equation on a separate display. "Here. The sign should be negative, not positive. This single error led to the conclusion that biological systems were necessary. But if you correct the sign, the mathematics open up. Artificial systems become possible." Studied the equation. His hands trembled. If this is true." "It is true. Your own scans of our ship prove it. We have no biological navigators, yet we jump through space." The old sat down heavily. 10,000 years, he whispered. 10,000 years built on an error." Around the ship, other scientists were reaching the same conclusion. The humans were telling the truth. AI navigation worked. The theorem was wrong. The galaxy was about to learn a very difficult lesson. Just because everyone believed something for a very long time didn't make it true. And sometimes, the youngest voice in the room was the only one willing to say, "You're mistaken." Captain sat in the pilot's chair of the. Behind him, the observation deck was filled with alien scientists. They had cameras, sensors, and recording devices pointed at every surface of the bridge. No one spoke. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut. "Captain," the council head's voice crackled over the communication system. "You may begin the demonstration when ready." Took a deep breath. He was a career spacer, calm under pressure, but this was different. The entire galaxy was watching if something went wrong. "Beginning jump sequence," he said clearly. "Destination, Beacon Station 7, distance, 4 light-years." His hands moved over the controls. On the main display, the navigation AI came to life. Numbers scrolled across the screen. Equations formed and reformed. The quantum processors hummed with activity. Behind him, a scientist gasped. "The processing speed. It's faster than any navigator I've ever seen." "AI doesn't get tired," said quietly. He stood near the back, watching the scientists watch the computers. The calculations completed. The AI displayed the jump coordinates, them quickly, and engaged the FTL drive. The ship trembled. Reality bent. For 3 seconds, the universe turned inside out. Then they were somewhere else. The neutron star was gone. In its place, Beacon Station 7 hung in space, exactly where the AI had predicted. The aliens in the observation deck stood in stunned silence. "Jump completed successfully," announced. 0.3% variance from predicted coordinates, within normal parameters. "Again," demanded. The old had been quiet all morning. Now his voice shook with emotion. "Do it again, a longer jump this time." Looked at the council head's face on the communication screen. The ancient nodded. "Destination, Mining Station 9, distance 12 light-years." The same process. The AI calculated. The ship jumped. They arrived precisely on target. Again. They jumped 6 more times. Short jumps, long jumps, complex jumps around gravity wells. Every single time the AI performed perfectly. No biological navigator, no neural degradation, no suffering. After the 8th jump, walked up to the navigation console. His hands reached out, trembling, and touched the screen. "It works," he whispered. "Stars above, it actually works." He turned to face the other scientists. His 3 eyes were wet with tears. My people have been wrong for 10,000 years. We built civilization on a mistake, a simple sign error in a single equation." A scientist in the back shouted, "That's impossible. The theorem has been peer-reviewed for." "By peers who all learned from the same flawed source," replied. His voice grew stronger. "We never questioned it. We never went back to first principles. We just accepted what our ancestors told us." "But millions of navigators," a small furry alien said softly, "millions have died. My sister was a navigator. She died at age 31. Her mind burned out from too many jumps." The alien's voice broke. "Are you telling me she died for nothing?" The observation deck went completely silent. Stepped forward. "Not for nothing. She died because everyone believed the only way to travel between stars required that sacrifice. No one knew there was another way. You cannot blame your ancestors for not seeing an error that was hidden in complex mathematics." "But now we know," the furry alien said. Anger crept into its voice. "Now we know navigators are unnecessary. What happens to them? What happens to the guild?" All eyes turned to Moore. The head of the Navigators Guild had been silent during the demonstration. Now he stood rigid, all 4 arms clenched into fists. "This changes nothing," he said. "It changes everything," countered. "The Guild has served for 10,000 years. We have built infrastructure, training facilities, medical centers. Millions of beings depend on the Guild for their livelihood." "Livelihood built on unnecessary suffering," said. He couldn't stay quiet anymore. "You're asking people to keep dying just to protect jobs." Moore's large eyes fixed on him. "You understand nothing, human. The Guild is not just about navigation. It is about honor, sacrifice, purpose. Navigators give their lives meaning through service." "They give their lives, period," shot back. "There's no meaning in dying from preventable brain damage." "Who are you to decide what gives life meaning? Your species has been in space for decades. Ours have been navigating for. You come here, barely able to reach your own moon a century ago, and tell us we're all wrong." "Yes," said simply. "When you are wrong, someone must tell you, even if you don't want to hear it." The observation deck erupted in argument. Scientists shouted at each other in a dozen languages. Some defended the old ways. Others embraced the new discovery. Friendships shattered in moments. Ancient alliances began to crack. The council head's voice cut through the chaos. "Enough. We will reconvene on Axiom Prime. All delegates return to the station immediately. This council must decide how to proceed." Back on the station, the arguments continued. The council chambers became a battlefield of ideas. The delegation split into factions. The young wanted to adopt AI navigation immediately. The old called it a betrayal of their heritage. The Navigators Guild threatened to strike. Without them, they claimed, galactic commerce would collapse. But other species pointed out that AI could replace them within months if they were allowed to implement the technology. Watched it all from the human section. Minu sat next to him, looking worried. "We've started a civil war," Minu said. "We've revealed the truth," replied. "What they do with it is their choice. Some of them want to kill us for it." That was true. Security around the human delegation had tripled. There had been 3 assassination attempts in the past 2 days. Extremist navigators who saw the humans as destroyers of sacred tradition. That evening, found in her quarters, She was reviewing data, always working. "Doctor, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you think we did the right thing, telling them?" Looked up from her screens. Would it have been right to stay silent, to let navigators keep dying when we knew there was another way? No, but the galaxy is tearing itself apart. Not apart, growing. Change is painful, especially for civilizations that have been stagnant for thousands of years. She smiled slightly. We showed them a mirror. We showed them that their perfect society was built on a flaw. They don't hate us. They hate seeing their own mistake reflected back at them. So what happens now? Now, turned back to her screens. Now I keep working. I've been reviewing other foundational theorems in galactic physics. They weren't the only ones to make assumptions that went unchecked for. You found more errors. 13 so far, some minor, some. She pulled up an equation that made his head hurt just looking at it. Some that could revolutionize how we understand gravity. Felt a chill run down his spine. If you publish that, the galaxy will be angry again. Yes, smile widened. But they'll also learn. They'll remember to question, to verify, to think for themselves instead of blindly accepting ancient wisdom. You're going to turn the entire galaxy upside down. No, the galaxy turned itself upside down the moment it stopped asking, why? We're just here to remind them that questions are more valuable than comfortable certainty. The door chimed. Captain entered looking grim. "The council has reached a decision," he said. "They want to meet with our delegation in 1 hour." "What kind of decision?" Minyu asked, appearing in the doorway behind. "They didn't say, but security is very tight. This could go either way." Stood up, his legs felt shaky. In 1 hour, they would learn whether the galaxy would thank them or exile them, whether the truth would set civilization free or tear it apart. Either way, there was no going back. The humans had told the galaxy it was mistaken, and the galaxy would never be the same. 3 months had passed since the demonstration. The galaxy had not exploded into war, but it hadn't found peace either. It had fractured. Lee stood in the cargo bay of transport station, helping an engineer install new navigation software. This name was, and he had 4 arms, which made the work go faster. "Connect the blue cable to port 7, said, reading from his. "Like this?" asked. "Perfect, now boot up the AI core." The computer hummed to life. Lines of code scrolled across the display. The AI ran its first self-diagnostic. Everything checked out. "It works," his 4 arms waved with excitement. "Our first ship with AI navigation. No more paying the guild's fees. No more waiting months for a navigator to become available." Smiled. This was his 5th installation this week. Dozens of species were quietly upgrading their ships. The reformers, they called themselves. Species willing to embrace the new technology. But not everyone was happy about it. "You there, human?" Turned. 3 navigators stood at the cargo bay entrance. They wore the guild's traditional silver uniforms. The one in front had the red stripe of a senior navigator. "Can I help you?" asked politely. "You can stop destroying our way of life," the navigator snarled. He was with blue scales and sharp teeth. "I'm just helping install navigation software, that's all." "That's all," the navigator moved closer. "Do you know how long I trained to become a navigator? 15 years. Do you know how much my family sacrificed? Everything. And now you come here with your machines and make it all worthless." Step between them. "Please, we've been friends for years. You know I mean no disrespect to navigators, but this technology can save lives." "Lives?" laughed bitterly. "What about our lives? What about the millions of navigators who have no other skills? We're trained from childhood to do one thing. If that thing becomes obsolete, what happens to us?" Understood the anger. He really did. But he also remembered the memorial hall on Axiom Prime, all those young deaths. "You could retrain," suggested carefully. Learn other skills. The galaxy needs engineers, scientists, teachers. I am 42 years old. My mind is already showing damage from 16 years of navigation. I have maybe 5 more years before I'm completely disabled. And you want me to start a new career? His voice broke. I gave my life to the guild. What do I get in return? Obsolescence. The cargo bay fell silent. Didn't know what to say. Was right. The navigators weren't villains. They were victims of a system that used them up and threw them away. A system that existed because of a math error. Before could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed. Security alert, a mechanical voice announced. All personnel evacuate Sector 7 immediately. Explosive device detected. People ran in every direction, grabbed his tools and headed for the exit. Was right behind him, but the other navigators didn't move. "Come on," shouted. Just smiled sadly. "The bomb is ours. We planted it in the AI navigation core you just installed. We're not leaving." "What? Are you insane?" His forearms reached for, trying to pull him toward safety. Pushed him away gently. Tell the galaxy that the navigators will not go quietly. If our way of life must die, we choose how we face that death." "You'll kill innocent people," yelled. "This sector is empty except for us. We made sure. The bomb will destroy the AI core in this cargo bay. Nothing more. A message, not a massacre." Security forces rushed in but triggered something on his wrist. A shield appeared, a shimmering wall of energy. The security forces couldn't get through. His mind raced. The bomb would go off in less than a minute. The AI core would be destroyed, yes, but the explosion could still hurt people in nearby sectors. He had to do something. But what could he do? Then he remembered something had taught him. When faced with an impossible problem, change the parameters. Said loudly, "You want to send a message. It's too late for talk, human. Just listen, you're right. The galaxy is treating navigators unfairly. You deserve better. Compensation, retraining programs, medical care for those with neural damage. But blowing up one AI core won't fix that. It'll just make people see navigators as terrorists." "What do you suggest? That we beg for scraps?" "I suggest you negotiate. Use your power while you still have it. Every ship in the galaxy still uses navigators. The reformers are growing, but we're still the minority. If the Navigators Guild demands fair treatment, the Council has to listen." Hesitated, the shield flickered. "You destroyed our future," said quietly. "Why would you help us now?" "Because was right. You're not our enemies. You're victims of the same lie that killed millions before you. We didn't come here to hurt you. We came to stop the hurting." The shield dropped, looked at the timer on the bomb, 20 seconds. Said, "Remember when we were young? You wanted to be a navigator too, but you failed the neural compatibility tests." "I remember. I you that failure. I wished I could fail too, but I passed, and they trained me, and I've spent 16 years burning my brain away." His hands shook. "I'm so tired of the pain." "Then stop," said gently. "Please. Let the humans help you. Let us all find a better way." 10 seconds. Reached for the bomb. His hands moved over the controls. The other navigators tried to stop him, but he pushed them back. 5 seconds. "I'm not brave enough to die," whispered. "I'm just brave enough to live differently." The timer stopped at 2 seconds. Security forces swarmed in. They arrested and the other navigators. Slumped against the wall, his heart pounding. Put one of his forearms on shoulder. "You saved them and us." "I just talked," saved himself. But knew that wasn't quite true. The galaxy was changing. Some beings adapted easily. Others fought back. And some, stood right on the edge between the old world and the new, not knowing which way to fall. That night news of the attempted bombing spread across the galaxy, but so did his words, his pain, his plea for fairness. The reformer faction grew stronger, but now they called for something new, the Navigator Transition Act, a plan to help navigators retire with dignity, medical care, retraining programs, pensions for those too damaged to work. The traditionalist faction screamed that this was surrender. They wanted to keep the old ways, even if it meant more suffering. And the council sat in the middle, trying to decide which future the galaxy would choose. In the human quarters on Axiom Prime, watched the news feeds, sat next to her. "It's getting worse," he said. "It's getting better," she corrected. 6 months ago, no one questioned the system. Now they're arguing about it. Argument is progress. Some of them want to kill us. Yes, but more of them want to learn from us. Look, she pointed at the screen. 53 species have formally requested Earth's help in implementing AI navigation. 72 have proposed variations of the Navigator Transition Act. Even some traditionalists are starting to discuss reforms. And the extremists? His expression darkened. They're dangerous, they'll keep fighting, but they're also shrinking. Most navigators aren't suicidal, they're just scared. If we give them a path forward, most will take it. Do you think we'll survive this? Us personally, maybe not, but humanity will, and so will the galaxy, changed, growing, questioning. Thought about the Memorial Hall, about 10,000 years of unnecessary death. It was worth it, he said quietly. Even if some of them hate us, even if it's dangerous, it was worth telling them the truth. Nodded, always, truth is always worth the cost. Outside their window, Axiom Prime Station glittered against the stars. Inside it, the galaxy wrestled with its new reality, a reality where the old certainties had crumbled, a reality where even the most fundamental truths could be questioned, a reality where someone had finally said, "You're mistaken." 6 months. That's how long it took for the galaxy to split completely in half. The reformers controlled the outer systems, young species mostly. They had embraced AI navigation eagerly. Trade flourished between them. Ships jumped faster and cheaper than ever before. No more waiting for navigators. No more guilt over using up lives like fuel. The traditionalists held the core systems, old species, powerful species. They refused to abandon the navigator system. Some claimed it was about honor. Others admitted it was about money. The navigator training facilities, the medical centers, the guild itself, trillions of credits invested in infrastructure that would become worthless if AI navigation became universal. And in the middle, the council tried to hold civilization together. Stood in the council observation gallery, watching another session devolve into shouting. He came here often now. It had become almost entertainment, watching ancient species act like children. "They're voting on the Navigator Transition Act again," Park Minu said, joining him at the railing. "Third time this month." "It'll fail again," predicted. He was right. 2 hours later, the vote came down exactly the same as before. 47 species in favor, 46 against. Not enough for passage. But something new happened after the vote. A young walked to the center of the chamber. Not someone younger. Her silver skin gleamed under the lights. "My name is," she said. Her voice was soft but firm. "I am a mathematician, 6th generation of my family to study the theorem." The chamber quieted. Everyone knew the theorem now, the flawed foundation of galactic civilization. "My ancestor, the first, wrote that theorem 10,000 years ago. My family has spent 10,000 years defending it, teaching it, building our reputation on it." Paused. "We were wrong." Gasps echoed through the chamber, admitting fault, unthinkable. "The humans found an error we missed for, a simple sign error. But we didn't miss it because we were stupid. We missed it because we stopped checking. We stopped questioning. We assumed that because our ancestors were brilliant, they must have been perfect." Turned slowly, looking at every species in the chamber. "But no one is perfect. Not any of the ancient races. We make mistakes, and when we stop questioning ourselves, those mistakes become permanent." She walked to where the human delegation sat, felt his heart race as she approached. She said, "You told us we were mistaken. We should have thanked you. Instead, we tried to silence you. For this, I apologize on behalf of my people." Stood unsure what to say. "I thank you." "No, thank you," bowed deeply, a gesture of profound respect. "You reminded the galaxy how to doubt, how to question, how to grow." She turned back to the council. "I propose a new initiative, the Verification Project. We will review every foundational theorem in galactic science, not to dishonor our ancestors but to honor truth. We will check the mathematics, test the assumptions, verify that our civilization rests on solid ground." "This could take centuries," an old objected. "Then we should start now," replied. The vote was called. The verification project passed by a narrow margin. Small victory, but a victory nonetheless. That evening came to the human quarters, invited her in immediately. "Doctor," said, "I understand you have found other errors in our science." Smiled. 13 so far. Would you like to see them?" They spent the next 4 hours going over equations. Watched them work, two scientists from different worlds united by the search for truth. This was how it should be, he thought. Not fighting, not politics, just people trying to understand the universe better. "This one," said, pointing at an equation. "This is the gravitational constant theorem. It's taught to every child in the galaxy. Are you saying it's wrong?" "Not wrong exactly. Incomplete. The theorem assumes gravity behaves the same way in all regions of space, but if you account for dark matter distribution, the math changes significantly." Stared at the corrected equations. "If this is right, faster-than-light travel could become easier. We might not need as much energy. We could jump further." "Exactly. The galaxy will resist this too." "I know." Sat back. "Why do you do it? You know every revelation makes people angry. Some want to kill you. Your species could just stay quiet, use your advantages, and let everyone else figure it out slowly." Considered the question carefully. "Because that's not who we are. Humans are young, curious. We ask why about everything. It's annoying to older species, I'm sure, but it's also necessary. Civilizations that stop asking questions start dying. Maybe not physically, but intellectually, spiritually." "You're trying to save us," said softly. "We're trying to save all of us, including ourselves. If the galaxy stagnates, humanity stagnates with it." The door chimed. Captain entered looking excited. "You need to see this, it's happening." They rushed to the observation deck. On the main, they saw something remarkable, a navigator ship. But the navigator was stepping off the bridge. A technician was installing an AI core in his place. "That's the," explained, "flagship of the Navigator Guild's merchant fleet, Moore's own ship. Moore is allowing AI navigation." Couldn't believe it. The screen switched to a live feed. Moore stood before a crowd of reporters, all four arms spread wide. "The Guild has always been about service," Moore said. "Service to civilization, service to the galaxy. For 10,000 years we served by giving our minds to navigation. But times change, truth changes. Our service must change too." He gestured to the, "We will not fight the future. We will embrace it, but we demand that the galaxy embrace us in return. Navigators deserve compensation for our sacrifice, medical care for our injuries, retraining for new careers. We gave everything. We ask only for a chance to build new lives." The Navigator Transition Act passed the next day, unanimously. 3 weeks later, the prepared to depart Axiom Prime. The human delegation's mission was complete. Earth had been accepted into the galactic community. Treaties were signed. Trade agreements were finalized. But more importantly, the galaxy had started questioning again. Walked through the memorial hall one last time. The crystal sculpture still glowed with the names of dead navigators. But now, a new inscription had been added at the base. Their sacrifice was real, Our mistake was thinking it had to be. He turned, Moore stood in the doorway. Guild leader said respectfully. Former guild leader, I retired yesterday. Let the younger members handle the transition. I'm too old to change easily. Moore moved to stand beside the crystal. I hated you, you know. When you first said AI could navigate, I thought you were mocking everything I had suffered for. I never meant. I know you were just telling the truth, but the truth felt like an insult. My mind is damaged from years of navigation. I have chronic pain, memory problems. I gave up a normal life for this service, and you showed that it was all unnecessary. It wasn't unnecessary to you, said quietly. You served the best you could with the knowledge you had. That matters. Moore's large eyes looked at him. You humans are strange. You break our world, then try to comfort us about it. We didn't break your world. We just showed you the cracks that were always there. Perhaps, Moore touched one of the names on the crystal. My mate, she died at 34, neural cascade failure. If we had known about AI navigation then, she might still be alive. I'm sorry. Don't be. Use her memory. Use all their memories. Every time you question something the galaxy accepts as truth, remember that lives might depend on finding a better answer. They stood in silence for a while, human and alien, united by loss and hope. Finally, Moore spoke again. Ask me to give you this. He handed a data crystal. It's the first report from the verification project. They've checked 17 foundational theorems so far, found 3 errors, small ones but errors nonetheless. The galaxy is learning to doubt. Because you taught us, against our will perhaps, but you taught us. Moore bowed, all 4 arms sweeping low. Thank you, human, for being brave enough to tell us we were wrong. On the bridge of the captain called for departure clearance. The AI navigation system calculated their jump home. No navigator sat in the pilot's chair. No mind would burn out getting them back to Earth. Sat at her station, already working on the next problem, the next question, the next truth waiting to be discovered. Minu reviewed diplomatic reports, planning humanity's next steps in the galactic community. And looked out at Axiom Prime Station one last time. A galaxy that had been so certain of itself just 1 year ago. A galaxy that now questioned everything. Jump sequence ready, Captain, the AI announced in its calm, mechanical voice. Engage, ordered. The leaped into faster than light. Behind them, the galaxy continued its painful, necessary transformation. Ahead of them, Earth waited. Humanity's home. A world that had arrived late to the galactic stage but brought something precious. Fresh eyes that could see what others had stopped noticing. The willingness to say, politely but firmly, you're mistaken. Not to mock, not to conquer, not to dominate. But to learn, to grow, to push civilization forward into uncertain but truthful territory. Because sometimes the greatest gift isn't being right. It's being willing to admit when you're wrong. And the second greatest gift is being brave enough to tell someone else they might be wrong too. The humans had given the galaxy both gifts. What the galaxy did with them would shape the next 10,000 years. But one thing was certain, it would never be the same again. And that was exactly as it should be.